What's going on, everybody? KG here. Today, I want to have a conversation about the LG C series. And the main talking point is going to be value and competitiveness. How competitive is this TV in the current market? I really wanted to do this because I look at it right now and I do feel like it's kind of in a weird place. And it's really important to understand this. And this comparison is going to be based on 4 different TVs. And they're all going to be very similar except for the top right, which is a QN900D 8K Neo QLED TV. Now, I'll reveal the other TVs a little bit later, but they are from LG and Samsung. There's no Sonys in this mix, although I will talk about how the C series stacks up against like the Bravia 8 in this video as well. But I won't be putting labels on these TVs. The comparison isn't really the main point of this video. It's really just kind of the background because the main point of this video is the C series. I want to make that clear. This is all about making the C series better. This is all about communicating to LG that the C series currently just isn't going to cut it for a lot of what we want out of an LG OLED TV. Now, I have to give props where props are due. Last year, the LG C4 was better than the C3 in brightness, and you could definitely see that with HDR in mind. But this is really just in HDR content, movies, and TV shows. In gaming, this wasn't the case. We had a very poor HDR presentation in game mode, and if you looked at it compared to the LG B4, there really wasn't much difference, and there was no reason to buy an LG C4 over the B4 in game mode specifically. Yes, the HDR brightness outside of game mode is pretty impressive, and at times it did beat the S90D in that area. But when it came down to gaming, the S90D absolutely smoked this TV, which you will see in a few examples. The other thing is within gaming, the Sony Bravia 8 also cleared the LG C4 within game mode as well. So I understand a lot of you guys are probably like, oh, what about the LG C5 and how is that going to be different than the LG C4? Well, the answer is it doesn't look like very much, and there's still hope that they have changed some things in certain areas, which I'm going to discuss the areas they definitely need to change in a second. But in regards to a brightness increase, I seen that it only measured 100 nits brighter in HDR than the LG C4. That to me is very disappointing, especially when I'm hearing that the S90F got a good brightness jump over the S90D. And if this is the case, if you put the S90F next to the C5, we could see some skewed results this year if the numbers are as high as I'm hearing, which is 1600 nits on a 10% window for the S90F. And if Samsung changed the way that they're doing their HDR tone mapping for the S90F, then I think we could definitely see the S90F being a better TV overall. And that will certainly be the case if the LG C5 didn't address the issues that are currently plaguing the LG C series over the last couple of years. I think it's pretty embarrassing for LG to have this C4 and they market it as a gaming TV. And yes, it does have great gaming features like 4K 144 Hz, things like that. Yes, they are important and they are great to have on your TV. However, if the picture quality is actually not going to be as good as the other TVs that I mentioned, that stuff really doesn't matter if those other TVs have it. Now, in the case of Sony, they definitely are lacking some gaming features that LG has, but Samsung definitely has those features. And in game mode, it really isn't close. The S90D is just a better gaming TV than the LG C4. And with the B4 in mind, if you don't need 144 Hz, the B4 is almost just as good as the C4 in most content with game mode in mind. All right, so enough yapping about what could happen or what is going to happen. Let's talk about what needs to happen. What is the core issues with the LG C series currently right now? In my opinion, the biggest core issue with the LG C series currently is going to be the way game mode is. And the game mode HDR picture quality, to be honest with you, it is probably the lowest amongst its price bracket, and it's not even really close. Despite this, you never hear it really called out within media or within any sort of press that this is the case. You always see this revered as one of the best gaming TVs out there, but nobody actually gives you a reason other than just listing the features. They never actually compared what the actual picture quality is in game mode compared to all these other TVs. Well, guess what? I did, and I've been doing it for the last couple of years. This is going to be a detriment if you're buying an LG OLED C series for game mode. You're getting the worst of all the TVs in the price bracket for gaming specifically. The biggest culprit of the LG C series, the problem here, and this used to be on the G series as well, but they fixed it last year with the LG G4. So props to LG for that. And there's hope that this will be fixed on the C5. And that's mainly why I'm making this video, because if it's not fixed, do something about it, LG. Fix it in a firmware update or something, because this is absolutely ridiculous. But when you are going into HDR and you look at the way that the color looks compared to outside of game mode, it is night and day a difference in color brightness. And you will notice that the more vibrant colors, they just do not have that same pop. They just do not have that same flair to them. They are going to look kind of dull for being those vibrant colors. And it's not what you expect from your TV. And you compare this to the S90D side by side with colors like that in mind. And I've been doing this. I've showed people examples that this is a problem, and this is going to continue to be a problem unless LG fixes it. So that's why we have to make these videos, even though it might sound like a broken record. Maybe you've seen a video like this before, but guess what? I have to keep making them until LG fixes them. And I don't know how strong my voice is in this TV world, but I hope they are hearing it somewhat. The other huge thing is going to be not related to HDR gaming, but related to SDR gaming for a very long time. And this is still the case on LG G series TVs, so I don't see it getting fixed. But for the longest time, you have seen this setting disabled on LG OLED TVs, and that setting is peak brightness. You are not able to change the peak brightness in SDR game mode. It doesn't matter which OLED TV you put up against the LG C series. Flat out, the LG C series is going to be dimmer than the competition. Last year, for example, the LG C series compared to the S90D, well, that brightness difference was so big that it was kind of embarrassing. Same thing with the Bravia 8 next to the LG C4. Again, we have to have this conversation of why is LG doing this when the other manufacturers don't? They don't lock down their peak brightness. And it just doesn't look like a fair comparison when they are in their SDR game mode and you have these two TVs. And it doesn't stop there. There's also a problem within the smooth gradation just not working for your LG OLED TVs. And this is a problem because there is going to be areas you really want to clean up. There is color banding on these TVs within game mode. I've seen it for years with LG OLED. They literally have the worst color banding issues amongst all the OLED TV makers when you're talking about their game mode. And the worst thing about it is there's no way to fix it because the smooth gradation feature, while it looks like it functions, it absolutely does nothing. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It's just a broken feature, and it's been like that for a very long time. So this is another area where they need to fix this because the S90D has some of the best performance in regards to color banding. It's really non-existent on these TVs for the most part. So even though Samsung doesn't have a way to clean this up, they really don't have this problem like LG does, where you wish you had a setting to clean it up. So that is another core problem with the LG OLEDs, and not just the C series in this case, even though the video is about the C series. The other issues are mostly exclusive to the C series, right? The first issue is exclusive to the C series, where we're talking about the color brightness being severely degraded in HDR game mode. Thankfully, they fixed that on the LG G series. The other two issues I just discussed, though, those are still issues on the LG G series. Now, the other thing with the LG C series is that we got reports from a number of different users and reviewers that off angle, while yes, OLED does have some of the best viewing angles in TVs right now, you're talking about some tinting issues when you are off angle. Some of them aren't as bad as others, and some of them are worse than others. We have seen really bad examples of this last year, and it's a common issue that's been occurring from year to year. It even sometimes happens on the LG G series TVs, although this was less of the case with MLA, but we'll see how it does this year with the 4-layer OLED instead. I'll just say this, that this is a common issue that happens with the LG OLED panels, and it really can extend to the Bravia 8 as well. So it just really depends on what type of LG OLED panel you're getting from LG Display. I even have off-angle tinting on my S90D 42-inch, which is also an LG OLED display panel. Another thing you want to be aware of is going to be the uniformity of the panel, and QD-OLED in the past has had better uniformity than WOLED, so that's something to watch out for as well when you're talking about the LG C series. Another annoying thing for LG OLED TV buyers is going to be that they used to be able to buy a C series and the G series wasn't that big of an upgrade, so they didn't feel that bad buying a C series. But now the G series is just a big upgrade. To be fair to LG, all the manufacturers do this. They built in a upgrade path. You're looking at a significantly brighter TV because of the panel technology. You're also looking at better technology with the processor in mind, so you're going to have better picture quality overall. And the gap is just really big in terms of picture quality in general. So comparing a C5 to a G5 this year is going to be the biggest gap that I think we've seen in a very, very long time. Now looking at this comparison here, let me go ahead and reveal which TVs are which. On the top left, you have the Samsung S90D QD OLED. On the top right, you have the QN900D Neo QLED 8K TV. On the bottom left, you have the LG B4 OLED TV, and on the bottom right, you have the LG C4 OLED TV. The QN900D actually wasn't supposed to be in the comparison, but I had it on hand, so I thought it would be fun to just turn it on and see how they look. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on the LG C series, and if you think they're going to fix these issues with the C5, or are they going to just stay the same? And is the C series dead in your mind? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. If you guys want to keep watching videos like TV reviews and comparisons, check out this one right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one.